One company derived a bomber from a commercial airliner, so cheap the Army picked it over Boeing, and that same company built the dive bomber that sank 4 Japanese carriers at Midway. From the B-18 Bolo to the A-26 Invader, Douglas produced 6 bombers that shaped American air power in World War II. Some became legends, others vanished into footnotes. What made the difference was not just engineering. Douglas engineers faced a simple order in 1934. Build a bomber that could be fielded quickly, cost less than the competition, and make use of proven commercial parts. The result was the B-18 Bolo, a twin-engine aircraft born from the DC-2 airliner. Its all-metal construction, retractable main landing gear, and familiar cockpit layout made it easy for crews to learn and maintain. At $65,000 per plane, the B-18 was a bargain, especially compared to the Boeing B-17's much higher price tag. The Army Air Corps ordered over 4,000, enough to fill airfields from the Atlantic coast to the Pacific. Yet from the start, the B-18 was a compromise. Its 2,000-pound bomb load and 330 caliber machine guns barely met the minimum for a medium bomber. The modest top speed of 215 miles per hour and range of 1,850 miles limited its reach. As the world edged closer to war, these trade-offs became clear. When Japanese submarines began prowling American shores, the B-18 found its true calling, not as a frontline bomber, but as a patrol plane hunting U-boats off the Caribbean and Gulf coasts. Squadrons flew low over the waves, dropping depth charges and scanning for periscopes. One pilot later recalled that the B-18 always brought crews home, even when the weather turned mean. The B-18's reliability in tough conditions kept it flying through the early years of the war. But its lack of speed and firepower soon forced a search for something better. The Army experience with the B-18 set the stage for the next generation of Douglas bombers, as commanders demanded more protection and greater striking power from every new design. Douglas answered the Army's call for improvement with the B-23 Dragon, a bomber that promised more but delivered little beyond its predecessor. The Dragon introduced a sleeker, more aerodynamic nose and a retractable landing gear system, both aimed at squeezing extra speed from the familiar twin-engine layout. Engineers added a dorsal turret armed with a 50 caliber machine gun, hoping to address the B-18's lack of defensive firepower. On paper, the B-23 could reach 285 miles per hour, a modest gain over the earlier model, and carried the same 2,000-pound bomb load. Yet the underlying structure and engines remained largely unchanged, limiting any real leap in capability. Only 48 B-23s were built, with just 31 accepted for frontline service. The tiny production run left most squadrons with too few aircraft to make a difference. Crews flying the Dragon noted its improved stall characteristics and a cockpit that stayed cooler at altitude, but also complained about cramped quarters and persistent engine problems in humid climates. In practice, the B-23 found a niche in night raiding and coastal patrols, but these missions rarely altered the larger course of the air war. One pilot summed up the Dragon's impact: "We had a handful, but never enough to matter." The B-23's story closed quickly. As faster, better armed bombers like the B-25 and B-76 rolled off assembly lines, the Dragon was pulled from combat and reassigned to training and transport duties. The limited production and incremental upgrades made clear that small steps were not enough. The Army's next move would require a new design philosophy, one that left the patchwork solutions of the pre-war era behind. Speed became the A-20 Havoc's greatest weapon. Designed for low-level attack and night bombing, the Havoc could race over treetops at nearly 300 miles per hour, hitting targets before enemy gunners could react. Pilots in the Mediterranean describe the thrill and terror of skimming rail lines and convoys, unleashing a torrent of bombs and machine gun fire, then vanishing before flak could find its mark. One Havoc pilot put it simply, "If you kept your speed up, you could outrun almost anything they threw at you." The A-20's nose evolved rapidly as combat experience piled up. Early versions carried a glass bombardier station, but crews soon demanded more forward firepower for strafing runs. Douglas engineers responded with the gun nose A-20G, packing up to 650 caliber machine guns in the nose, enough to shred trucks, locomotives, and even light armor. In the hands of skilled crews, the Havoc became a precision tool for cutting supply lines. In France and Italy, A-20 groups logged thousands of sorties against rail yards and bridges, halting enemy reinforcements and earning a reputation as the train busters of the Allied air forces. The same speed that made the Havoc deadly also helped crews survive. Loss rates in European daylight missions hovered around 5%, lower than many other light bombers. In the Pacific, where missions often meant night attacks on shipping, pilots relied on the Havoc's agility and rugged construction to escape heavy anti-aircraft fire. Survivors recalled limping home with engines shot out and wings peppered with holes, but the A-20's sturdy frame usually brought them back. Its flexibility, from low-level attack to night intruder, cemented the Havoc's role as the workhorse of Allied tactical bombing, a bridge between the early compromised bombers and the specialized, role-tailored designs that would soon follow. Precision shaped every line of the SBD Dauntless, Douglas's answer to the Navy's call for a dive bomber that could strike hard from the deck of a carrier. Engineers focused on a single challenge: how to let a pilot plunge nearly straight down at a target, then pull out safely. The solution came in the form of large, perforated split flaps, dive brakes, mounted on the trailing edge of each wing. These metal panels snapped open in a steep dive, catching the wind and slowing the aircraft without sending it tumbling. The result was control, even at angles as sharp as 70 degrees, and the ability to hold a steady line on a moving ship below. This system was tested in wind tunnels and on the decks of the Yorktown and Enterprise, where pilots practiced diving from 15,000 feet, aiming for a patch of ocean no wider than a tennis court. In combat, that precision paid off. At Midway, Dauntless squadrons from both carriers rolled into their dives as Japanese anti-aircraft guns opened up. The dive brakes held the SBDs rock steady as bombs tumbled free, one after another. In less than 6 minutes, 3 enemy carriers were burning. The Japanese fleet, undefeated until that morning, had lost its core. A pilot from Bombing Squadron 6 wrote in his diary that night, "The brakes held us in the dive like rails. I never saw a bomb hit so true. That accuracy, more than speed or firepower, set the Dauntless apart. Its design made possible a kind of naval warfare that depended on hitting a moving ship with a single well-placed bomb. Other aircraft would chase higher speeds or heavier loads, but the SBD's dive brakes became the gold standard for precision attack, proof that engineering detail could change the course of a war." On paper, the A-24 Banshee looked like a straightforward solution. Take the proven SBD Dauntless airframe, strip away the carrier gear, and hand it to Army pilots for ground support and precision strikes. But the realities of land warfare in the Pacific were less forgiving than any technical manual. One Army pilot who went to New Guinea in 1942 later recalled that they had a dive bomber built for the sea, but they were flying from muddy airstrips, dodging ground fire, and retreating faster than they could learn the terrain. The Banshee's dive brakes and sturdy wing made it accurate, but its slow speed and lack of armor left it exposed on jungle runways and during steep attack runs. In just a few months, losses mounted. By early 1943, Army commanders ordered the surviving A-24 aircraft withdrawn from frontline squadrons, redeploying them to training and target towing. The lesson was clear. A design perfect for carrier decks could falter in the chaos of land campaigns, especially when doctrine did not match the demands of the battlefield. Pilots stepping into the A-26 Invader found a machine that answered every lesson the war had taught so far. With its laminar flow wing and twin Pratt and Whitney R 2,800 engines, the Invader could outpace most fighters, reaching speeds over 350 miles per hour. Its cockpit was built for clarity and comfort, with controls that felt more like a fighter's than a bomber's. One Invader pilot said you could choose how to fight, go in low and fast, or climb out and hit them from above. What set the A-26 apart was its modular design. Ground crews could swap out the nose in under 2 hours, glass for bombing runs, gun packed for strafing, or a camera nose for reconnaissance. The internal bomb bay could be loaded with up to 6,000 pounds of bombs, or fitted with extra fuel tanks for long-range strikes. Wing pylons carried rockets, napalm, or extra guns, letting each mission commander tailor the aircraft for the job at hand. The Invader entered combat in 1944, flying daylight raids over Europe and close support missions in the Pacific. Its speed, firepower, and adaptability made it a favorite for dangerous night intruder sorties and pinpoint attacks on rail yards and bridges. After the war, the Invader was redesignated the B-26 and kept flying in Korea and Vietnam, its basic design unchanged. The A-26 blend of speed, flexibility, and rugged construction made it the last word in piston engine attack bombers. A design that endured while others faded, and a fitting capstone to Douglas's wartime evolution. Today, military innovation pivots as fast as global threats. The Douglas bombers reveal how adapting design to mission can tip the balance of history. As technology accelerates, remembering this lesson isn't nostalgia, it's strategy. The future of AR power depends on learning from every evolution that came before. Share your thoughts below.